In this video, I will be talking about ActRaiser, a game developed by Quintet and published by Enix, one of the halves of what is now Square Enix. ActRaiser is a game that combines action platforming, RPG elements, and town building simulation. The premise of ActRaiser is that the Master, a godlike entity and the game's protagonist, was wounded and defeated by a powerful demon named Tonsra prior to the beginning of the game. The Master retreated to his sky palace and went into a deep sleep to recover from his wounds. The game begins with him waking from this slumber and being greeted by an angel, who is sent to help the Master and who tells the Master that the world has been taken over by Tonsra and his monsters. The angel also tells the Master that to restore his lost power, he must restore the people's faith in him. Thus, the Master and the Angel travel the world via the Sky Palace to destroy monsters and rebuild civilization in the 6 different regions of the world. Now I will talk about the gameplay. The gameplay starts off as an action platformer, and how the action platforming stages work is that in each of these stages, the Master enters a swordsman statue and controls the statue as his avatar throughout the stage. On a related note, I love the Mode 7 sequence before each platforming stage, where the map enlarges and rotates as the Master descends to the area in which the stage takes place. I love the sequence both for the visual effect and the epic song that plays. I'd like to say that the first platforming stage, which is a forest in the region Fillmore, is a great start because of the level design and the song, my favorite song in the game. The song goes well with the beginning of a dangerous journey and goes well with a dangerous forest. The stage is good practice for the smooth play control, and it gives a good introduction to combat and platforming. The sword attacks are fun to use, are not too slow, and have good range. I especially like the standing sword attack due to its high speed and the convenience of being able to hit targets behind the statue. After the first platforming stage in a region, or the Act 1 of a region, the region becomes livable for humans and the game shifts to town building gameplay, which has excellent music that goes well with town development and the atmosphere of the game. The player controls the angel to shoot arrows at monsters and to direct people in the region to build roads and houses. Dealing with the monsters in the simulation segments is fun. Shooting the monsters with the angel's arrows is fun, and watching the people seal the monster layers is satisfying. I also love using miracles, or acts of nature such as lightning and rain. The miracles are fun to watch, and clearing obstacles with them is fun. For context, after the main objective of a region simulation segment is accomplished, the Master can take on the main monster of the region in the region's second platforming stage, Act 2. I love that the game rewards the player's score in the platforming stages by having growth in a region dependent on the scores in the region's platforming stages. Now, what I love most about the simulation segments is that if the world population is large enough, the Master's level increases. The Master's level affects the Master's HP in the platforming stages, the Angel's HP in the simulation segments, and the Master's SP in the simulation segments, SP being the points used for miracles. The level component is a great way to reward the player for helping people rebuild towns and for their patience as the towns develop. Other rewarding things about the simulation segments are acquiring attack spells to use in the platforming stages and acquiring MP to use the attack spells. I like the formula of the Master making a region livable, helping people in the region rebuild civilization, and defeating the monster causing the region the most problems. This formula, the RPG elements I just mentioned, and the score component are all why the two play styles go so well together. The two play modes are made even better by their sprites. The sprites are well drawn, look great, and fit well in the atmosphere of the game. The platforming stages are well designed, beautiful, and challenging. In addition, the stages have great and fitting songs, and have side paths that encourage exploration, add replay value, and reward exploration with items or extra points. The boss fights in the platforming stages are great too. The bosses themselves are imaginative, varied, intimidating, and challenging. I love the boss music too. The Act 1 boss song and the Act 2 boss song both fit the atmosphere of the game and go well with their respective bosses. I especially like the Act 2 boss theme because it both is heroic and creates more of a sense of danger than the Act 1 theme does. The simulation segments have a great amount of variety, look good, and are well sized both in terms of map size and the size of the grid squares. I also love how the simulation mode encourages exploration with its hidden items and encourages revisiting towns with items originating in one town that can help the people in another town, like medicine. I will now talk about the game's final stage and final battle. The final stage, Tanzra's base Deathheim, basically consists of a boss battle gauntlet, starting with refights against the leading monsters from the 6 regions and ending with a battle against Tanzra himself. I like refighting the 6 leading monsters because they add tension to the final stage, and I think the final battle is more fun following the refights than it would have been without the refights. The lack of platforming before or between the fights is a good thing, because the score has no purpose in Deathheim, and therefore platforming in Deathheim would just be pointless and detrimental to the pacing of Deathheim. The final battle against Tanzra is fun because of the great heroic music and because of Tanzra's imaginative and intimidating appearance, especially in its second form. I will now talk about the ending. Seeing the sky clear up around Deathheim is satisfying because of the music and because I love scenes where the sky clears up after a crisis is resolved. Revisiting the towns and recapping the events is fun, has a beautiful song, and is a good way to show how far the master has come. For context, each town has a temple wherein the leaders of the town communicate with the master to give the master offerings or inform the master of important developments or events. At the end of the tour, the master and the angel look inside the temple in Northwall to find nobody in the temple. I like this because it implies that the people are capable of looking after themselves and do not require help from the master anymore, thus implying that the master's goal of creating a self-sufficient civilization has been achieved. I also love the Mode 7 sequence in which the master and the angel triumphantly fly the Sky Palace away from the world until the next time the master is needed. A great homage to the descent sequence prior to the platforming stages, and a satisfying close to the master's mission. The end credits music is beautiful and heroic, goes well with the atmosphere, and well fits the end of a fantasy epic. Overall, ActRaiser is a great and rewarding blend of action platforming and simulation gameplay, made even better with its great soundtrack and its epic atmosphere. That concludes my review of ActRaiser. Take care.